Hello and welcome to my tutorial about building advanced layouts in wxWidgets using GridSizers. In one of the first videos in this series, we discussed placing UI elements in a desktop application and ensuring correct stretching with simple box sizers. This time we'll cover more advanced objects for UI management, a family of GridSizers. We will start with the most straightforward variation, then improve our design with a wxGridSizer by specifying which rows and columns should be stretched when the window size changes. Finally, we'll take a closer look at the wxGridBagSizer, where elements can span multiple rows and columns, which can help build more advanced user interfaces. As always, our examples will work not only on Mac, but also on Windows and Linux without any code changes. So if that sounds interesting to you, remember to like and subscribe to the channel, download the code from the GitHub repository mentioned in the description, and let's begin. We start with a minimal wxWidgets application containing an application object and a single window frame. We create a GridSizer with 20 columns and 13 rows. We don't want any space between the elements for now, so we provide zeros for the gap size parameters in the constructor. Iterating over the rows and columns, we create simple panels, coloring them with a checkerboard pattern. At the end of the inner loop, each square is added to the sizer. After setting the sizer and running the app, we see a simple checkerboard pattern made of colored panels. By default, the grid stretches with the window. This is because the GridSizer is the only element in the frame, in which case we get the stretching for free from the framework. We can change this behavior by adding a simple outer box sizer and using the zero proportion and the default flags. If you want to know more about box sizers, check out my basic layouts video. The checkerboard made of panels is not very useful, so let's move on to the next example. We will create a simple form with single line and multi-line fields. Here's our vector describing the fields we want to add. Next comes the sizer for the panel. The panel will be the parent control for our fields and provide the tab navigation functionality for its children. The GridSizer has as many rows as items in the form and 2 columns. The vertical and horizontal gaps are set to our margin size. In the loop, we create a description label and a text field, making sure we use the multi-line style where needed. Finally, we set our sizers and run the app. Well, it is a form, but it could look better. In the simple GridSizer, all items have the same heights and widths, which is different from what we need. It would be great if we could set the column with the labels to have a constant width while allowing the text fields to stretch. Also, the single-line text fields should have constant height, and only the multi-line fields should alter their size when changing the window's height. This looks like a job for the wxGridSizer. While the normal grid stretches all elements equally, the wxGrid allows us to specify which rows and columns should be growable. Here they are marked with a red tint. We can even set the proportion attribute to make certain rows and columns grow more than others. Let's fix our form by using a wxGridSizer. We change the GridSizer to wxGridSizer and then call addGrowableCall to make the second column growable. Remember that the rows and columns are numbered from 0, so the index 1 represents the second item. Then we iterate over the rows and set the ones with the input type of multi-line to be growable. All other rows and columns will have constant sizes. To improve the user experience, we set the minimum size so that the user won't be able to resize the window to the point where the controls look too small. Now this looks much better. Only the text fields stretch horizontally, and only the multi-line ones resize vertically, providing a smooth experience for the user. Also, because we put our UI elements in a wx panel, we get the tab navigation for free. Let's move on to GridBagSizers. Here's an example of panels arranged on a grid. Some panels span more than one row or column, allowing for more advanced layouts. Let's recreate this window in code and then move on to using GridBagSizers with actual controls. We delete the unnecessary stuff and include the GBSizer header. The GridBagSizer derives from the FlexSizer, so we simply change the class name. Next comes the array of panel positions and spans. The first one starts at the row 0 and column 0 and spans one row and two columns. And the second starts at the row 1 and spans just one cell. We continue to type all the spans and positions, paying close attention to the blueprint of the layout we want to achieve. Then we add the panels to the sizer. The add method accepts the position and the span, which we get from the layout array we prepared before. This time we use the proportions for our growable rows. The first row will grow twice as fast as the last row. Finally, we add growable columns, set the minimum size, and run the app. We are almost there. Stretching works as expected, but the rows could be taller. Also, the first column is tiny, so let's make it wider. The cell size will be twice the default size, and the item in the second row and the first column will have a width of 100 density-independent pixels. This will set the minimum width of the first column for all items. This version looks exactly as we intended. Stretching works fine too, so we are ready to move on to the next example. Here's what we will build: a simple image viewer displaying basic information about the file. The layout has a grid-like structure with some elements spanning multiple rows or columns. Pay attention to the file name text box, spanning the second and the third columns. Ensuring it stretches correctly will be tricky. We will see why later. This example will use the scrollable bitmap control we made in the scrollbars tutorial. Be sure to check it out if you want to know more, but for now the important thing is that this control displays an image and shows scrollbars if the picture overflows the content. So back to the main file. We delete the old code, include the bitmap control, and proceed to add the labels for the file properties. We also set some initial values to be displayed when there is no image, to see how everything fits together on the screen. After adding the file name text field, the load button, and the actual bitmap control, we move on to arranging everything on the grid. Most items span just one row and one column, except for the file name text field and the bitmap. Next, we make the last row growable so that the bitmap stretches vertically. We also do this for the third column, index 2, so that both the bitmap and the file name text field stretch in the horizontal direction. We can already see something weird happening. The load button seems to be a little too wide. After changing the initial width of the bitmap, the problem is even more prominent. So what's going on? To better see what's happening, we added colored rectangles in the first row, each spanning precisely one column. To make space for them, we moved everything else one row down. This is very interesting. It looks like the last column is stretched so that the two last columns add up to the bitmap's width. We want the bitmap to span the two last columns, so this makes sense, but we specified we want the column with index 2 to be growable, not the column with index 3. When we start interacting with the window, we see that indeed the column with index 2 grows and shrinks with the window, so this is good. The problem is that when determining the initial widths of the columns, the wxGridBagSizer's positioning algorithm decided to stretch the last column, and we cannot influence that in any way. We can set a growable column, and as we can see, the sizer will respect that, but as for the initial column or row sizes, we don't have that much control. Fortunately, in our case, we have a solution. Since sizers can be nested, we can put both the file name text field and the load button in a simple horizontal box sizer and then let that box sizer span 3 columns. We add the box sizer and insert these columns there. Then, instead of adding the controls to the grid, we add the sizer, remembering to change the span to 3 columns. Everything works great, so we need to add actual image loading mechanics to complete the app. The initAllImageHandlers call is needed to enable the support for image files, so we make sure we call it before the user can load anything. We then set up the click handler. First, we display a file dialog, allowing the user to pick a file. If you are unfamiliar with built-in dialogs in wxWidgets, I recommend my dialogs tutorial. After loading the file contents to the image object, we set the bitmap and the property fields with the image metadata. And here's the final result. Images are loaded correctly, the property fields are updated, and resizing works as expected. I hope you learned something new and will use the power of the wxGridSizers in your future desktop applications. That's it for this tutorial, and I will see you in the next one.